So, the summer year can, and then in some year can. And now Ghana more away. Bibia awa utra wosho ho. The nyama show da kotokom bibia no. Ifrifri amanone. Nyama yankasa ye ewa ha. Eton wa ha no. Nyama kakra bi. Aspatra wo show. Socks are wo share. Pants a show. Belt a ball. Trousers show. Tomato show. Bibia ye krafra monene. Na no ne pese sesa. Ya pese sesa na sa na me nyina no. Yetumi ye wo mamu ha. Ye betumi aye. Me wo gidie bebre wo Ghana fo mo. Wo hwe kwaya kofo ankran fo ye adwuma wo Ghana. Ifie bi mo no bia ye garage hakra na be say small factory bia or yes and pure water bibi kakra ono no na oton. Eno chese sa aban no sheda de nani si sa ankofo so say ye ba be pekwan bi aboa ho a niema ne bebre wo ho a ya ye kra ye ma sa betumi aye wa na say ye hyase ye si ye yankasa ye niema wo ha wo be hu say mo amugyeje street for no de dikai Sane man musu betumi aye bi etoso mienu obia ni wiase ha ohia moa say en fan say school ko na adwembiwe so betumi bibia onim ho asem kaka na obia ba be kire say we wo ye ni say abeboa German for system bia wole de hwe won ya omrantie so a me call ho na manka marke me pa branch to so ebia uton ade o pe osa ho adwuma asua bibi a unko school me a sheda apekwan a ebia na otwe bia 2 or 3 days bi wo ha no o de ton wa ade na 2 days nso wo ha ye de wo school akwa bibi a ebeboa adwuma a wo pese wo sua na wo ye no ebinum so wo school wo school no so person share bibi no school no okọ no be 2-3 days bi na afi wakọ akoye e na akọ hye baabi a obetumi asua adwuma na niema no ho ahoro betumi de aboa e ma ba ne se mo mu jeje street ase tonton niema no e bia kra no wo ba beton niema na be wo niema na wo to ye shase official says so tonton niema na anche na se koyi a wo behwe no akọ akọ kiosk wo behwe na kiosk na ya mienu na ya miensa na kwa na wo so wo kọ no no nurse sasa wo dabo.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have the Volta region joining us. They've sent their question by email, but we will want to acknowledge them. Please take a look at them. Okay. And the question from the Volta region to Nana is, Nana, the Volta region has not seen any industrial transformation since independence. What is your plan for the Volta region when elected vis-a-vis the youth and industrialization?
Thank you for the question. And I think that question is at the heart of where we are in our country. The fact that such an important area of our country, an area where you have extremely hardworking, industrious people, can come forward and say that our part of the country has seen no industrial transformation, in itself is a statement about the conditions that we find ourselves today, 55 years after independence. I will continue to say it. I don't know whether it sits well with some people or not, but the agrarian economy, the raw material exporting economy that we have now, is not the way to prosperity for our country. And that statement, to me, is about what this question is saying. We have to find a way to move away from that economy to an economy where we're making things here. We're trading in things that are Ghanaian made. The area that she's talking, that the question is about, we know has tremendous potential in all kinds of things, in the production, for instance, of raw mangoes, and we can do things from it with it. But it's like all parts of our country, an approach which is emphasizing industry and manufacturing is what will bring about the transformation in the lives of our people. As far as that's concerned, I don't see that the Volta region is any different from any other part of Ghana. Yes, the question is region specific, but the question being regional specific is also Ghana inclusive. So we're talking about the industrialization in the Volta region. We're talking about the industrialization of Ghana. And that for me is the critical overarching challenge of our generation. If we can really put our minds to it and organize ourselves, the mindset and everything else, to undertake this transformation, in a decade, we will see a radical transformation in our own lifestyles and in the standards of living of our population. It's very important. This statement is made and people think that you're talking out of the back of your head. The countries that were recently just like us, especially the countries of Asia, because there, in terms of size, climate, economic possibilities, very similar to ours. I'm speaking about these countries like Malaysia, Korea, Thailand. The big countries, it's difficult for us to compare ourselves to a China or to an India. They're talking about 1 billion people there plus. But when you're looking at Korea, you're looking at Malaysia, you're looking at Thailand, you will see that in all of those, their development, a decade where the fundamental transformation took place. It doesn't mean that everything was rolled out in that decade, but the shift was made decisive in a given decade and then provided the impetus for the growth that subsequently has come. I think that now, especially with the opportunities that our economy is beginning to develop, the hydrocarbon resources that we have, gas and oil, that is what we need to do. These are the resources we need to use to back this process of transformation. So I'm fully committed to the question. I believe that the manifesto that we have set out for the country to look at and dissect has that whole process of economic transformation at the heart of it. Because we believe that that is the future for our country, and it is indeed the future for our continent. Our share of world trade is virtually negligible, it's very, very small. We don't trade with each other because we have these limited economic structures that has it that you're producing cocoa, you're exporting raw gold, there's timber, now you have oil. Given markets are the ones that take it. But if we were making things, if we were competing with the rest of the world, with our ingenuity and our sense of enterprise, in the making of things, electronic things, normal consumer things, then we would be having a very much more vibrant economic life than what we're having today. And that has to be the future of our country.
We'll take one more question from the floor.
My concern is about people in the rural areas. How do you intend to get to them with this e-campaign when they have no access to electricity? They don't have the luxury of computers and the internet. Does that mean you are not targeting them at all with this e-campaign? Thank you.
Well, obviously the e-campaign has to do with people who have access to those things. That's why it's called the electronic campaign. That doesn't mean to say that one doesn't target the rural community, but you do so with more conventional political means. Our agents, our party activists on the ground, going from village to village with our messages, And the messages on the e-campaign are the same messages as that we're giving at the local level. It just happens to be that for those who have access to the new technologies, you can reach them through the new technology. But those who don't have that access, it doesn't mean that they're outside the loop. They cannot be. They're almost 50, and I think that now the figure is now shifted, whereby we have the majority of our people in urban surroundings, and I think it's now 51%, 49%. But a shift has now been made towards urban. But there are a huge population. You cannot possibly want to win an election, even putting it at that crude level, unless you are able to make some serious effort to take your messages there. So the absence of those facilities there doesn't mean, therefore, that you are not targeting them in your campaign. It may be that this particular means is not the way to go.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have the Western region joining us via Google Hangouts. They're on the screen. Their question is, Nana, how can the youth of the Western region benefit from the oil discovery under your governance?
Well, there's so many things. It's, there was a big debate in the parliament last year about whether or not we shouldn't attach a percentage of the revenues we derive from oil to the development of the Western region. Many of the MPs on our side, advocated for, I believe it was a 10% figure that should be assigned from the proceeds for the development of the Western region. That was shot down by the majority. But clearly, we have history to guide us. And the history that guides us is what is happening in our sister country of Nigeria. The problems that have emerged in the so-called Delta regions, the oil-producing states in regions of Nigeria, where the bulk of the people there feel that they, from whose resources this new huge wealth in Nigeria has been derived, have not benefited in any way from that development. And all of the upheavals and the problems and violence and the conflicts that are there revolve around this. I think we in Ghana can profitably learn from that experience. And what is that? That we make a specific effort to ensure that the young people in that area and the people of the area generally are connected to this development. For instance, we have to go further than just exporting crude oil in Ghana. We are, as a matter of priority, have to establish a strong petrochemical industry in the area. It's close to the product, and it makes sense to do it that way. It's important that hiring policies, even on the part of the, yes, they're private companies, but government can help them design hiring policies where the local people, if they have the sufficient training, are given, if you like, the first right of refusal on jobs. You put side by side with that the educational institutions that you need to. I believe that we should situate in the Western region a petroleum institute that will be responsible for training all the various aspects of people in the petroleum industry. I would think that the people of that region ought to be the first to come forward to benefit from the existence of such an institute. Then, as I say, you have also the hiring policies that the various industries, oil-related industries will have. And there too, the emphasis has to be to do whatever is necessary to involve the local community in these developments. I think that the whole thing is whether or not that consciousness is there, that there is a need for us to do things in that part of the world, to target and mobilize and inspire the young people of that region to get involved. But I believe there are many, many, many things along the lines that I'm talking about that we need to do. And hopefully, if we get the opportunity, we'll do them.
We'll take another question from the floor.
Thank you, Nana Akufo-Addo. My name is Fosu Samuel, but known to Ghanaian youth as Nana Atamuda. Ghanaian youth and the utilized youth, human resources of this nation, graduate economics. So my question will center around your economic policy. And I'm saying this, Nana, the youth today, we are rejecting NDC because they fail us 92% of their economic policy. And based on that is the reason why we are here, to listen to you and make a decision and put you there to solve it for us. And I'm asking you this question. First, how are you going to implement your economic policy, the transformation of the Ghanaian economy? How are you going to do it? And two, how are you going to sustain it? Three, and how are you going to ensure its future growth? Thank you, Nana. Charge.
At the end of the day, you have to expand the economy if you're going to create more jobs. The reason why there's so much graduate unemployment and unemployment generally amongst the youth is that the cake, the economic cake of our country, is small and is limited. So if we are going to get more and more people work within that cake, we can't do it within the existing cake. We have to expand it. How are you going to expand it? What are the things that you need to do to expand your economy? I think the first thing is to generate confidence amongst investors that you have come to create conditions that will allow them to put their money in new enterprises, to put their money in expanding existing enterprises. And in that process, of course, you will be opening up more and more jobs. So that's the first issue, confidence of the business community. And you get that confidence on two fronts. One, the sort of measures that you do that will make the business climate friendly in Ghana. There are lots of things that we need to do. Our ports. Today, Tema is heavily congested. It's taking 2 or 3 weeks for people to be able to clear their products, their imports, whether it's raw materials or finished goods, whatever. That's not an efficient thing. That is not a business-friendly environment. So you need to deal with that. You have a currency that is wobbling on a daily basis, losing its strength. It makes it difficult for people to be able to plan. Somebody's going to invest money in a factory or a business. They know that it'll take time for the business to get up and succeed and give them back their money and give them back their return on their capital. If you have a currency that is as wobbly as the cedi has been in the last 18 months, it makes it very difficult for people to plan the expansion of their businesses. So measures that have to be taken to strengthen the cedi and stabilize the cedi become a key aspect of being able to open up the economy. We're going to be able to do it. I'm happy, I'm very lucky. I have as my assistant, my vice, a young man who was very much in the forefront of keeping the cedi stable all the years that Kufuor was in power. And my expectation of him is that if he was able to do that, or help do that as deputy governor, as vice president, he's in an even better position to help do that. So, the stability of the country. You're going to be looking at taxes on businesses, taxes on the importation of inputs into business, In our country today, we tax raw materials when they come into the country, even though some of these raw materials, when they end up in finished goods, those finished goods are not taxed. That kind of anomaly we have to look at. I am, for instance, very much keen on the idea that if we want to kickstart this industrial expansion, the raw material inputs in our country are free of duty, free of tax, and they come in free. So we're talking about a series of measures that will get the economy up and running. Once that is done, if the economy begins to move, in some ways in itself becomes a self-sustaining process. Because when people see prospects, they see your currency is stable, they see that you have a business-friendly climate in your country, they see measures that are being taken to deal with issues of infrastructure. How are you going to be able to run a factory or an industry when every other 1 hour the electricity is going off and the power